I didn't notice who was sitting behind me here, but do they need to know that it's?
Yeah, I'll let
We're back in open session. We have no new visitors and there was no public comments sent in. Move on to officers' report, chief report.
All right, my report starts on page 4. Year-to-date call volume for Pettis County is 5,222 and 557 for Windsor. All the Zoll equipment was placed in service again last month. That day was a pretty hectic day for all of us working. I just wanted to thank everybody for their patience and everybody that helped make sure that this happened without any major issues. The AC was repaired over at headquarters. It's up and running again. I've mentioned this a couple times in a couple different reports now. We have an ambulance that the instrument cluster put working in. It has spent, well, how long?
Months. Yeah, I mean months. 4. I would say 4 months.
That where it's not working. It's been in and out of Rick Ball. I finally agreed with sending it to Warrensburg, so hopefully we can get this truck back on the road again. So it's headed to Warrensburg. We haven't heard anything more about it right now. They're tracing wires, trying to figure out why it's not working. They've already replaced the instrument cluster once, and the same problem happened again.
I was talking to Shade Tree Mechanic about an entire system collapse like that.
Mm-hmm.
He said, sounds like a ground issue to me.
It could be. I know that Rick Ball had said when they got in there that there were some wires that had some insulation rubbed off of it, but even after they had tried to work on it and had it fixed, it still wasn't fixed.
I think there was a module that got replaced and a wiring harness that got replaced so far, and the instrument cluster itself.
But I'm hoping in August when I report back to you guys again that it's fixed and back on the road and all is well. So we'll see. The vehicle mileage is below. I don't remember if I told you guys today actually our new ambulance to replace Unit 9 went on the assembly line. It's anticipated to be completed by the end of August. Unit 10, the unit that went to North Carolina to get remounted, they're telling me 6 months. I'm hoping that's under promise and over deliver type of thing, but that's what they said. I'll keep checking on that, but it seems like a long time. But there's the vehicle mileage. It's been about on par for what our vehicle mileage usually runs. The next is our heat maps. So I had to run this through Zoll, and this is my first time doing it. So and this is what we get. I can't make it any better. It's not a whole lot worse, but it's what we got. And it's not far off from what we had previously. Although you'll see in this one that we're actually able to pull Windsor data and show you the heat map for Windsor calls. So first we got for Sedalia, and I kind of just gave you a broad county overview. It's hard. Usually I try to give you the Sedalia overview, and it's about the same as what we'd expect. The little dots you see are our stations. One of those dots is misplaced, and we're working on getting that fixed. So over here in Windsor, so this singles out Windsor calls. This singles out the Windsor calls. So you'll see that, most of the calls ran in Windsor. You have another handful that are ran in Green Ridge, and then of course Clinton, and then the transfers that and other calls that come up here and take us to that are factored into that. My graphs that I normally had, the pie charts that kind of tell you guys a story about what we do. I'm still working on getting those, but I can at least tell you all the hospitals transported to and how many times we transported them. Event planning, Wings Over Whiteman, there was a full-scale exercise last month. Justin was able to attend. And then, of course, this weekend is Wings Over Whiteman, so long as it's not raining out. last time I looked, weather says no, but we'll find out. Of course, Fair's coming up next month, and we're still planning on working through the Mozart Music Festival. Currently, we're fully staffed. I just got the call volume broke out for you on the last page, or the next page, which just kind of breaks down everything that we did last month. Under education, I wanted to let Justin take the floor on this one. We got an award from the American Heart Association, or basically an award. And we did a newspaper article about it, some PR, some press. And I'm gonna let him kind of tell you guys about it because it's something that he worked on to get us. And I don't want to steal the spotlight on something he worked on. So Justin,
You're fine. I was just gonna answer any questions. I don't know if the press release was included in the packet or not.
yeah, the press release on page 9.
Right. So yeah, it's a nationwide program, and basically what the program is designed to do is showcase pre-hospital providers for excellence in pre-hospital stroke and heart attack care. So we are now accredited with Mission Lifeline. I think right now, as of 2000, last year when I looked, there was about 10 ambulance services in the state of Missouri that had this accreditation. Maybe more this year, but they haven't released the whole list for the state of Missouri. But what it does is it's a lot of hard work for the crews. I'm not going to take credit for it. The crews are held to stringent guidelines for stroke and heart attack care. Meaning they need to recognize it early. They have to have certain tests, procedures, medications given within a certain amount of within a time frame, say 10 minutes. They have to have this done. Alert the hospital, let them know that they have a stroke or that they have a heart attack. So there's a lot of steps that the crews have to be trained on and follow, and they're really out there doing the hard work. My job is to input, look at all that data and input it and make sure it's getting put in the system correctly and then apply. It's about a 6-month process to do. But I'm super honored that we received this award, this accreditation through the American Heart Association. So it's a big deal for our service. It's a big deal for our crews. So.
And I think it's important because it's kind of just spotlights really what those guys go out and do every day, and the great care that they provide to our community. So. I thought it was a really cool thing when Justin first told me about it. On the next page, I put this in here. This is something that I get occasionally from Jason White. He's with the Mid-America Regional Council. He's a big voice down in Jeff City amongst all the different organizations that we're a part of that help with legislation for EMS. There was a lot of things. The legislative session this last year was not great. There was a lot of infighting that really slowed down a lot of things and a lot of progress. But there was some good things that came out of it. And I just kind of here's a list of all the different grants and the different fundings that were released by the governor for this coming year. In the next on pages 12 and 13 is kind of an outline of what they're looking for this next legislative session in 2025. Wayfair is kind of a big deal because a lot of the shopping is moving towards like the Amazon platforms and stuff like that. And entities like us, we don't receive that sales tax revenue. It goes, they can tell you better where it goes than I do. I can, but it doesn't come to us.
It's huge checks.
But this basically is just some light reading if you guys get bored and want to find out what's coming or what they're going to try for next year and what was successful actually this year. So with that, if you guys don't have any questions, I think it's the end of my report.
Is there any question? Is this $45 increase, that's per trip, per call, per?
For Medicaid,
Yeah, but
straight Medicaid.
only if it's Medicaid billing. Okay.
Correct.
How much, given our percentage of Medicaid versus other pay? How much of a difference is that gonna make actually?
I mean, quite a bit, because our Medicaid percentage, I think it's about, I'm just guessing here, but I'm gonna say it's probably 25-30%.
Okay, 35% of 9,000 calls and
Yeah, it's quite a few. And then we also get the GEMT on top of that, and they expanded that GEMT to be Medicaid managed care as well. Which that is becoming a higher and higher percentage of Medicaid patients as well. So, I mean, all of those things bring more money into our district, so they're all good for us. And then the grant I was talking about, it's on page 11 too, there's 18 million for Department of Public Safety. Last year it was 15 million, this year it's 18 million. And then on top of that, they're talking about, there's 5 million for behavioral health centers. So that actually was retroactive to June of last year. So we've already billed, I think I've billed 26 claims of uninsured patients to that just recently. That was 2 weeks ago, so we haven't got paid, but you know, that 26 additional patients that we didn't get paid for at Medicaid rates, that's quite an increase for us as well. So every little bit helps.
My wife and I were driving around down in Windsor, went to one of their markets and noticed how many Amish farms there were. You can see there weren't any vehicles and all. Do we get calls to them at all? And they don't have insurance, I'm sure, so they just pay it out of the pocket then, I guess.
we're bringing a pig.
And then today my wife saw something on social media, called my attention to it. I didn't read it, but she gave me the highlights of it. Someone posted something about PCAD coming and
$45.
yeah,
She recommended that they didn't get their vitals taken because they were being charged $45 when they showed up and the insurance wasn't paying it.
and she got so many comments about people saying, well, why wouldn't you want vitals taken on your mother?
Yeah,
You know, that is just passed out or whatever. And
a lot of people said she was giving bad
she
advice.
shut it down, yeah.
Yeah.
But she was defending, you know, that. And
She
why
was.
wouldn't you? But that gave me kind of a good feeling that there are people that realize that what we're doing is critical care.
$45 to save someone's life is well worth that.
Yeah.
It's $252, just FYI. It's not 45, it's 252.
Okay,
I don't know where the 45.
that's just came out of her mouth, is why.
Treat no transport is $252.
It doesn't matter if you're.
Yeah, $255. that's
Right, I just wondered.
Yeah.
Just make sure everybody knows it's not 45, it's
And if they can't pay it, you've told me that, you know.
Correct.
We write a lot of it off, so.
Yeah, I mean, actually, we don't get very many hardship applications, but it's offered.
She also mentioned about like lifts, you know, people came to help lift somebody or whatever. And some have been charged, some had not been charged. You know, so I don't know how that went, you know, I mean, that was just what was being posted. I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot, I meant to screenshot all that.
I thought maybe you were on.
I saw
social
it,
media today.
I saw it and I'm like.
Yeah, so it's our treat no transport. So Roy can talk to that a little bit better, but basically we provide care.
Right, I mean, and generally, like if we go and we help you out of the floor. We don't charge for that. Now, if we help you about the floor and we manage a wound and check your vital signs, recommend transport to the hospital, and you refuse all those things, then yeah, you're gonna get charged for that. But I mean, if it's just a simple, what we call generally a citizen's assist, no,
Okay.
we won't necessarily charge for that. Like I said, if we're pulling equipment out and we're doing things, then that's when you're probably gonna get it. You should be getting it.
I have a friend who is not ambulatory any longer. His legs are too weak. And when transferring from wheelchair to the easy chair, once he went down, his wife could not lift him back. The fire department came and put him in his chair. Does the fire department charge for that same service? Okay. All right, thank you.
Are there any other questions for him?
I do. I know, for the section about the legislative session, it says more to come, but, do we know anything about this, program for the AEDs to the schools? Is there any background on that? Cause it said that they're advocating for us to establish a school, plan for handling cardiac emergencies.
I don't know anything on it yet. I know that the money's been allocated for the program, but we all know how that kind of money runs. So I haven't heard anything more about it other than that's what that is.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it does say more to come. I'd just be interested in that if we can. I mean, it sounds good, but
I know that Bothwell did, and I think is continuing to do a thing where it's called, where Red Campaign, I believe is what it's called, where they've actually put AEDs in communities, I think even some of the schools, so that they're more, AEDs are more accessible, and I think they're continuing on it. So here locally, we've done a really good job with placing AEDs and having them within the community. So anything in more special.
The AED, by getting a free AED, you're obligated then to have some people trained. Is training available at a reasonable rate? How, if I were a school principal and I put an AED or 2 or 3 in my building, I would expect to train a large percentage of my staff.
Absolutely. So
What cost would that be?
what happens is these corporations, these businesses contact me and they get an AED or they want help getting an AED. So once they get that AED, they purchase that AED, they obviously want training in it. So there's 2 ways to go about it. One is a certification, an actual certification that comes with a card that is good for 2 years. So you're not just AED certified, but you're certified in CPR. So you can run it, you can run an AED without having CPR certification, because it's a simple, open up the box and listen to it and follow the directions. Some people do want that certification, and I will do both for them. So I basically schedule time for them to come in if they want that certification. For all the businesses, I pretty much just charge what we pay for the card, what it would cost us, because we have to buy the cards and distribute them. Okay. So it's usually like, $12 or $13, $15 a card, and that's all I charge them to do that. Now, if they just want to learn how to run the AED, that's no charge at all. They come in and we do that for them, or I go out to them.
Yeah. And the other recurring expense is to replace the pads that age out. How expensive are those now?
That's a good question. I'm not sure I can tell you that.
They used to be really expensive and they weren't so expensive. And
I think it depends on, kind of the model of the AED as well. So, I want to say they're like $100, but that could be way off.
about $75.
And they do have a shelf life of what, 2 years?
Yeah. And batteries, you get batteries.
Any other questions for Lauren? Now we'll move on to payment of the outstanding bills. Are there any questions on the bills?
Page 15. Notice under Amazon Business, we've got almost $1,100 in carabiner clips and a coffee maker.
Coffee maker was.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, our coffee maker it was the original 10-year-old coffee maker, and it finally was leaking, and we tried to replace some parts initially. Didn't work, and we finally ended up buying it. It was $800. $800 almost, what the,
$800 for a.
yeah, it's a bun plumbed in, we go through a lot of coffee. So, it's just a commercial,
Yeah.
kind of like a commercial, yeah, it's a commercial bun.
I couldn't imagine that many dollars in carabiner clips.
Yeah, and then the carabiner clips they're actually a special clip. It's not just a clip, there's a part on it as well. And
Right.
so when we get the Stokes baskets for the mule, what came with the bed that carries that basket that carries patients was some Velcro straps. I didn't feel like they were safe, and I didn't want to trust them. So they're used for climbing, but they're got a lot of weight. They can hold a lot of weight, and I think that's a lot safer than Velcro straps.
Just so we had to reorder them with coffee, probably made me wonder.
Mr. Coffee,
Trying to hide line items like legislature.
Are there any other questions on the bills? Now, I take a motion to approve payment of outstanding bills.
Pay the outstanding bills.
second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unfinished business, owner's representative recommendation. So give us a recommendation, how you reached that.
Yeah, so we looked at everything. Flo even made a spreadsheet, and the one that meets all the qualifications is Navigate. Navigate. And we all three like Navigate. We think that should be our recommendation for a lot of areas forward with this. Several different reasons behind that. One, they meet all the qualifications, and two, we've seen a lot of their work. You know, Flo and I spent an entire day driving around looking at ambulance stations, fire stations, on down the road, and a lot of the places that they have in there, in what they gave us, are places we've already been. We've seen all their work, and it's not their work. I mean, the construction companies are the ones that built it, but you know, they're all well put together, and nobody had a bad story to tell us about their station. Not like I've heard going to Marshall or down to Warsaw or some of the other places that I've been where, well, this isn't right and that isn't right, and we wish we would have done this, and they didn't tell us about that. We didn't have any of those stories with any of the places that they touched. And like I said, it's not just them, because there's a whole lot more to that piece to that puzzle than just that. It also it leaves us open to that all they do is what this is. This is their specialty. What we want from them is their specialty. It's nothing else. They're not a construction company. They're not anything else other than they provide owners representative services. So that's really the reason why. And I mean, you know, Flo and Jenny can chime in as well, but that's collectively what we came up with.
I would like to say it, I mean, not that any other of the companies, you know, they're all great presentations, nothing bad, but what I liked about Navigate was the very specific answers. Instead of like when we were asking about cost control and some of the other things, he was very specific about how they would do that versus, well, we just try to anticipate. Okay, I understand. We all try to anticipate. If I could anticipate the stock market, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. But he was very specific on how they do it and their model, and I was very impressed with that, because that's a huge thing. Not trying to what happens when we get into that issue of overrun and all that. So I like that. Good call.
And they're the only ones that met all the requirements for the RFQ.
I'm just curious where Septagon came up short, since they're local and
They're not LEED certified.
that,
which was
that's
one
the
of
environmental.
Yeah, so that's the energy. And as far as experience with EMS, Navigate has much more experience with EMS. So, and they were also recommended, Navigate was also recommended, so.
Certainly hope they hire local contractors.
That'll be, you know.
That'll be us.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
We need to insist on that.
Right, and that's my goal, is to use local contractors to build the station and.
When possible.
You know, and I think this will give somebody, this will be somebody that I would think would have an unbiased opinion when it comes to the local contractors. And, you know, we're not saying anybody would do this, but we're not making sure that somebody's left out or anything else. Everybody gets a fair shot, a fair opportunity, a fair representation of us in front of us, for you all to make a decision on who we're gonna use.
And I think too, that it's important that, just like Roy said, that's all they do, is construction management. They're not managing their own construction job somewhere else.
One of the other differences between the two is that Septagun said they would be there 4 or more times a week, and Navigate said he would be there as needed. I don't know.
He said that they're gonna put up cameras. He said that they would have cameras on site and they would monitor virtually. And then they do the time lapse and they watch everything. He said they have somebody dedicated to do that. And then if they needed to be, if they found anything that was an issue, they would be on site. They didn't have a problem doing that.
And we'll still get timely reports and.
That's, yeah, I mean, again, going off of the presentation, yes. A lot of that part was kind of similar amongst everybody, the reporting piece of it. And we had asked, I think Phil had asked about their differences in how they wanted to communicate. And they all had great recommendations, but Navigate said that they would deliver it to us in whatever capacity that we wanted it to be in. They run Microsoft Project, but if we wanted something differently, that they'd be willing to work with us, and that would be what we would sit down and talk about at the beginning. What are our expectations? How often?
I think site visits could probably be something that could be negotiated, you know?
Yes.
If you guys want them to come by twice a week or 4 times a week, I mean, that would be something that could probably be put in a contract as well, I would imagine.
Again, I'm back to prevention instead of cure,
Yeah.
seeing things ahead of time. I know that Septagon said they would actually come to the meetings every time, just like report, but.
Well,
If we're good with cameras and an as-needed basis,
I think Mr. Todd Sweeney, he actually reached out to me and asked if he was supposed to be here today. So he's been communicating and asking if he needs to come to board meetings. I told him he didn't have to worry about showing up today, so.
I'm talking about as construction goes on, every meeting, having them here for an actual report, yeah.
I mean, honestly, if you're talking about cameras versus on site, if you have a manager talking to somebody, I think cameras would catch more. I mean, if you have cameras all over the site, you're seeing everything going on versus the manager's talking to somebody and then behind them, there's chaos going on, burning dumpster fires. And so I'm okay with it. I'm a proponent of technology.
And we can talk about site visits. I mean, I know that it's been talked about. I know that there's been, times per week that they would come. And we can discuss that, with especially when we start talking about the contract and what that's gonna be.
You don't necessarily want to require a certain amount of visits a week, because there'll be some weeks, nothing happens.
Sure.
Very little.
Just wanna make sure that
And that's
manager knows what's going on.
That's their job. That's what they do. So do we want to make a motion to approve them pending negotiations on the financial aspect?
Sounds good, I'll do that.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. So do we want to have Jamie and Roy and Flo negotiate the finances and then come back with a proposal on the finances to us?
We'd really like Flo to do it, but he's leaving.
Yeah. I'm leaving, I'll be gone to the end of the month after today, so.
Well, I guess Roy and Jamie.
Yeah.
I'm sure at one point we'll have to probably, get the lawyer involved or whatnot,
Yeah, for the
because,
contract.
right, because I think they said it was a fixed price, so it's probably gonna be based off of what we want, so.
Right, but
Right.
the building attorney will have a contract already made, that we'll just have to amend to suit us.
Yeah, I think he already sent us an example of one, but, I mean. Because there were some specific things that he said he wanted to make sure was in that contract to cover us. So,
Any other questions on those owner's representative? If not, we have no new business. Are there any announcements? Not, I can take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.